Adam Cole. I'm calling you out for number 3.
I was hoping to do an entrance with the music to the latest addition to my Dream Fantasies, Io Shirai. Just kidding, not going to get there too far, go too crazy. But anyways, yeah, I was hoping to have some point once they do have a good edition of her new theme on. I definitely need to do an entrance to that theme because it's badass. The entrance is badass, and she looks badass as well. But of course, wearing Johnny Wrestling, actually the wife of the biggest enemy of Io Shirai right now, Candice LeRae. But anyway, so what's going on, guys? This is the Club of the Man 1993, and I am here live for my top 10 special live stream of the week. After about 6 weeks of top 10 NXT stuff, I thought we'd get back, of course, into the roots of the best and worst stuff again. And of course, one suggestion I've been given by my good friend here on YouTube, Tyler Hodder. Shout out to Tyler. Thank you for this suggestion. This is the top 10 best and worst pay-per-view endings of all time for WWE. And I also did have 2 from NXT I also included on this list as well. So I have 2 separate lists, top 10 best, top 10 worst. If there's anybody in the live chat, let me know if you want me to do best and worst first. So looking at this list, I kind of try to mix up a little bit. I didn't want to just pick, ending just, the winner of a certain championship match. I wanted to kind of include like a moment that may have taken place to, go off the air, like, some type of like, a little hook, like a great hook that makes you want to see what happens next. And of course, for the worst, it's stuff that doesn't want to make you see what happens next, or could be kind of, a turnoff, basically. If you know what I mean. And of course, for this one, I try to be a little bit goofy with, like when I wrote down the stuff on my list, not just writing down, like the simple terms, like, an example would be Seth Rollins cashes in at WrestleMania 31. No, I put down, what it's actually called, if that is on my list, maybe a spoiler alert. So I kind of want to have a little bit of fun with that as well when I do this stream. But first, as always, let's check the live chat. Also, before I check the live chat, I just finished my SummerSlam 2019 predicted match card. Again, last time my goal was 1,000 views for Extreme Rules. Again, I haven't done well with views with what match cards for a while, and it used to be my videos that got the most views. So that got 1.4 thousand views. So this what versus SummerSlam, I'm going high. 5,000 views for my SummerSlam card. I want to see that get 5,000 views. Haven't had a match card touch that long in a while. Again, last time I really had was when I almost got 5,000 on my Backlash 2018 card. So once again, want to get those match cards racking up the views again like they used to. They're really not lately, and I don't know why. But so 5,000 views for my SummerSlam card. That's my goal. But let's check the live chat and see what we got here. Let's see here. Tyler said, do the best first. Worst, Brock burying Samoa Joe at Great Balls of Fire. Wouldn't say he buried him. He just kind of snuck away with that victory, but not a bad pick. And also best is Chris Benoit defeating Triple H at WrestleMania 20. That is a good one. No, Laura, thanks for joining me. How about doing top 10 storylines where the wrong person went over? I don't think I've done that one yet. Actually, let me add that one down to my lists. Top 10 story lines the wrong person went over. I think that was that's a good idea. No, Laura, thank you for that suggestion. Best was AJ Styles winning his first WWE Championship in 2016. He did it with a low blow, brah, as of course kind of referring to that promo afterwards, but that's a good pick as well, Tyler. But yeah, so that's definitely a good idea. No, Laura, definitely. Hopefully, we'll make sure to give you a shout out for that one. But thank you for joining us live, guys. And as always, guys, make sure, as Tyler's doing right now, leave some of your best and worst pay-per-view endings in the description box. If you ever want to do a video response to any of my top 10 special live streams or any of my videos in general, feel free to definitely do this so and leave it down in the comment section below so I can see what your video response is. And yes, I will be shaving off this beard soon. And again, I know I promised you guys earlier in the week I had a special announcement to come, but unfortunately, I'm still waiting for something to be declared official, but I will get that special announcement posted in a temporary video on this channel, as I definitely am excited to share some good news with you guys regarding me personally. So I will get to that, of course, whenever, the right time is, but just so you guys know, again, I didn't forget about that, but again, I want to wait till it's safe to do so to make it a little more public. But anyways, let's get rolling with this top 10 special live stream. And Tyler said do the best first, which I do kind of I do agree. Again, I always feel like the best ones, I don't have as much to say about the worst ones, because the worst ones, there's gonna be a reason why they suck so bad. But anyways, let's do the top 10 best first. So for number 10, for my top 10 best is Edge's New Year's resolution, and I am referring to the first ever Money in the Bank cash-in. I chose that one because not only it was a history with the first ever cash-in, but it was also the night that kind of like when Edge for a while he'd been stuck in just the tag title and just the mid cards. I think earlier in that show he did. I think the first match of the show in New Year's Resolution 2006, he had a match for the Intercontinental title against Ric Flair. I think it was. Though that wasn't a clean finish. Apparently, was with Flair retained the championship because Edge basically said screw this. I have better things to focus on for whatnot. But he cashed in on John Cena. I believe it was the beginning of the series of matches and the feud that Edge and John Cena had. Which the matches again I've seen the highlights for because again I didn't get to watch Edge live, except for of course when I watched all the WrestleManias and SummerSlams and the Rumble matches. I've heard that him and John Cena have had some pretty good matches in the past for sure. Whereas this was the beginning of those series of matches that they would have over the years. But his history, it definitely started elevating Edge up to the main event level and out of the mid cards, and that's why it's my number 10 on this list. Edge's New Year's resolution. Number 9 is what I like to call the Hounds of Champions. And I'm referring to that ending at Money in the Bank 2016. The main event was Roman Reigns versus Seth Rollins for the WWE World Heavyweight Championship. Seth Rollins had just returned from injury. As a surprise at Extreme Rules 2016, I popped big time when that happened. And then, of course, it's set up for his rematch for the title that he never lost. And of course, it was a great match between Roman and Seth. Always had great chemistry. First time that they had a one-on-one match on pay-per-view. Because the previous time they always had matches on pay-per-view. 2014 at Night of Champions, but unfortunately Roman Reigns had an emergency hernia surgery. He missed 3 or 4 months there. And then they were about to have a title match at Survivor Series, where rumors have it Roman was supposed to win the championship there. Unfortunately, that's when Seth tore his ACL, MCL, and his meniscus, and that match got canceled. But of course, Roman was still, well, we'll get to that later because it has something to do with one of the other ones on one of my lists later on. But apparently, actually, again, a rumor I heard, apparently Roman Reigns was supposed to win the championship at Survivor Series, and if he would have gone into WrestleMania 32 as champion, he was apparently going to face John Cena at WrestleMania 32. Well, Cena, of course, was not healthy at the time because he was out with a rotator cuff injury. That was apparently the original plans where Seth Rollins got hurt. Anyways, though, but this night, Money in the Bank 2016, again, in the first half was what it was. This could have definitely been one of the best pay-per-views, of this decade, and one of the best I personally seen. That second half, especially, was just amazing. Especially this main event. Seth Rollins defeated Roman Reigns clean. Again, my favorite spot of this match was when Roman went for the spear. Seth, just countered the spear to a pedigree. He had a second pedigree on Roman to get the victory. He beat Roman clean, which was nice to see. And then Dean Ambrose's music hits. Dean Ambrose just won Money in the Bank an hour earlier. And, Seth Rollins is looking down the ramp waiting for Dean to come, but Dino comes through the crowd and runs into the ring, knocks Seth down with smashed him in the face with the briefcase. He cashes in, hits the dirty deeds, and Dean Ambrose becomes the WWE World Heavyweight Champion, which was awesome moment for sure. Again, I was definitely very excited for Dean. It was a special moment because within the span of 5 minutes, all 3 members of the Shield had held the WWE World Heavyweight Championship. Like 3 up to the main roster in 2012. They were definitely the 3 guys, definitely changed the landscape of the WWE. And, even though one of them's gone in AEW right now, and Dean Ambrose, well, now Jon Moxley, these 3 definitely accomplished that feat, and it all came full circle with them, having that moment where, the 3 of the best guys definitely in the company this decade, coming together from the faction that they started with, and literally all three of them holding the world title in one night in the span of 5 minutes. Roman Reigns had it going into the night, and Seth Rollins had won it for like a minute or two, and then Dean Ambrose took it and he held on to that until Backlash 2016. But to me, it was still one of my personal favorite moments, and to me, one of the best endings to a pay-per-view. That's why it's my number 9 is the Hounds of Champions, as I call them. Number 8, we go back to Survivor Series 2014. Probably that or the 2016 Men's Survivor Series match is my favorite Survivor Series matches. Well, 5-on-5 elimination matches, my favorite ones of all time. So this match was a very unpredictable match, and it was one of the best booked matches, I gotta say. We had Team Cena, the team of John Cena, Dolph Ziggler, Big Show, Eric Rowan, and Ryback. All of them, of course, the stories were just great building up this team. They originally, Cena originally picked people like, Zack Ryder and Jack Swagger, but of course they got taken out, which, just plays well on the story on the Authority and having that power. And the Authority, of course, their team was, of course, Seth Rollins, Kane, Mark Henry, Rusev, and Luke Harper. That's who it was. Now, of course, there was a couple storylines here, as originally also Sheamus was supposed to be in this match, and I think if Sheamus would have stayed in this match, he probably would have turned heel here. I think because Big Show kind of more so just filled that spot instead, because Big Show turned heel in this match, which is kind of one of the weakest spots in this match. And also a storyline here, this is a story after Ryback had returned from his double groin surgery. He returns a babyface, and the Team Authority and Team Cena were basically fighting over him, and he ended up picking Team Cena, even though it was Team Cena and Team Ryback, basically, as he kept saying. But it's great storytelling building into this, obviously, with Mr. McMahon raising the stakes, saying that if the Team Authority loses, then the Authority would be out of power. Yes, the aftermath of, just Cena easily handing the Authority back their power on the last Raw of 2014, which was definitely a huge letdown. I gotta say, they could have done this work of done massive wonders to them, but the match itself was still great. And of course, I do like that they gave Dolph Ziggler the rub, with him being the one to be the sole survivor. But that didn't happen easily, though. Of course, Team Cena was down 3-1. I think the remaining 3 people left were after Big Show turned heel and he knocked out John Cena, and he basically, disqualified himself from the match. It came down to Dolph Ziggler, Luke Harper, Kane, and Seth Rollins. And of course, he would get Harper and then Kane. So it came down to Ziggler and Rollins. But of course, Triple H, desperate as hell, was getting involved in the match to, save his job. And then finally, he brought out the crooked referee, Scott Armstrong, who he had history of basically, bribing and such, as he's about to have, Seth Rollins pin Dolph Ziggler. But then the 1 count, and then the lights go out and the music hits. And we're like, who the hell is here? And there have been rumors, but for the first time in 14 years since the end of WCW, Sting has finally made it to a WWE ring. Sting comes out, and first he takes out Scott Armstrong, and he gets into the ring, has a stare down with Triple H, and then he takes down Triple H with a Scorpion Death Drop, and then he basically switches to pinfalls, as both Seth Rollins and Dolph Ziggler have both basically just beaten the hell out of each other and worn each other out like hell already. So he switches to pins. The regular referee gets back in. 1, 2, 3. Dolph Ziggler wins, putting the Authority out of power for the time being. But talk about making a debut, it was awesome. Now, of course, the only problem was, of course, eventually, Sting would lose to Triple H, which was definitely stupid. They should have had Sting beat Triple H at WrestleMania. I don't know why Sting had to lose to Triple H. Why? He's a WCW guy. But I still wish to this day we would be able to see Sting and Undertaker. We're not going to be able to now because, once again, Undertaker can't really put on a long, durable match anymore. I mean, he could tag, but as far as an actual, long, again, Super Showdown 2018 showed that Undertaker can no longer put on a 25-minute match. I'm sorry, that match at Triple H was not that good. It wasn't as bad as I thought, but it wasn't good. But we never got to see Undertaker and Sting as we had been hoping for quite a long time. But we still got to see Sting in a WWE ring, which was cool for what it was. But yeah, so that is my number 8. Though is Stinger strikes WWE with his WWE debut and helping Team Cena defeat Team Authority. Number 7 is one of 2 NXT moments on this list. Actually, in between best and worst, I have a neutral honorable mention that I will talk about, of course, when I get to it. I forgot I was going to do this one first, but I completely forgot about it. But I'll do that. I saw that on the list, but I'll do that in between my best and worst. Number 7 is one of 2 NXT picks, and that is what I like to call the undisputed debut. So, during NXT TakeOver Brooklyn 3, after the tag match with the Authors of Pain and Sanity, which of course is 3 of the, well, of course, Eric Young wasn't, he isn't one of the biggest guys out there, but we had like Authors of Pain, Alexander Wolf, and Killing Daniel, 4 pretty big dudes. So basically, O'Reilly and Fish came out and 5-on-2 assaulted and took out both Sandy and Authors of Pain, making statements there that they're coming to take over. When the main event, which probably to me is probably the worst main event in NXT TakeOver history, Bobby Roode and Drew McIntyre. So McIntyre wins the title. Afterwards, we see O'Reilly and Fish on the apron staring down on Drew McIntyre. It's like, what are you doing here? And of course, we all were speculating what this meant. And again, at this point, it was obvious that he was coming out, but we didn't know where he was. I was looking around, like, where is he? Where are you? Huh? Where are you, Adam Cole, baby? And into the ring came Adam Cole, and it was a 3-on-1 beatdown. And they beat down Drew McIntyre and went on the spree after this pay-per-view. Of course, it did its own little trick. It does like to do sometimes NXT, putting up the little graphic thinking, it's done, but then it's not, and something else happens. Once again, as they're doing that for when Drew McIntyre put up the title, and then, of course, he turns around, takes the graphic off, and then we see O'Reilly and Fish, and then out of the crowd comes Adam Cole to take out Drew McIntyre, the 3-on-1 assault. And again, they went on to basically just act like they run the place immediately, take out everyone, and they've succeeded. Of course, their ultimate destiny will come at the end of hopefully a TakeOver Toronto, where all 4 members of the Undisputed Era will be draped in gold. As Adam Cole's going to be an NXT champion. Roderick Strong will be NXT North American champion, and we will also see the team of Fish and O'Reilly be the NXT Tag Team Champions. But this is where it all began, and a great way to end a pay-per-view to start a new era in NXT, as I like to call it, the undisputed debut at my number 7. Number 6, of course, this guy's name does not like to be mentioned by WWE, but I'm still going to mention it here because it was an amazing moment. But WrestleMania 20, an underrated WrestleMania for sure. We see Eddie Guerrero retain the World Heavyweight Championship. We saw Chris Benoit take on 2 of the best, Triple H and Shawn Michaels. Well, he was a SmackDown guy, but he was allowed to choose which champion he wanted to face. He chose to face the Raw champion, Triple H. Shawn Michaels still got involved in the feud as well. Still, as this was the beginning in the early and mid 2000s, where Triple H and Shawn Michaels were feuding with each other off and on. So they got involved in this triple threat match, putting over a fresh face in the main event scene, where Chris Benoit won the WWE title, and of course the world title, whichever one it was, and he held on to it until summer 2004 when he dropped it to the youngest world champion ever at the time, Randy Orton. But what's special about this moment, though, afterwards, the 2 fresh, faces of their brands, Eddie Guerrero and Chris Benoit. Of course, Eddie Guerrero, of course, had beaten Brock Lesnar. I can't remember who he faced. Maybe it was Kurt Angle, WrestleMania 20. I can't remember. Just haven't watched it in a while. But you know, so fresh faces being at the top of the main event scene. Two really great friends in real life come out, and in the midst of the celebration, they're both emotional and they both embrace to celebrate, you know, their accomplishments as in real life. Again, they were both really good friends for sure. Unfortunately, both of them are dead right now. Eddie from his heart attack in 2005, and Benoit from the double murder suicide in 2007. But lost train of thought. But this is still a great moment too, with two fresh faces, you know, two good friends in real life, you know, celebrating the biggest wins of their careers at WrestleMania, and just the emotional hugging it out. And I thought it was, watching that, back whenever I first watched WrestleMania 20. I thought it was a great moment and something. I think that was a great way to end a pay-per-view again with, showing like, hey, the new guys are in town now running our brands. And I think it was a great moment for sure. So that's why number 6 is Chris Benoit and Eddie Guerrero close WrestleMania 20. So far, we'll first take a swig of my water. My number 10 for best is Edge's New Year's resolution. Number 9 is the Hounds of Champions, Money in the Bank 2016. Number 8, Stinger Strikes WWE. Number 7 is the Undisputed Debut. And number 6 is Benoit and Guerrero closing WrestleMania 20. Check the live chat and see what we got here. Where we got here. Do the top 10 storylines where the wrong person went over. Maybe we'll do that one next week. CM Punk win the title at Money in the Bank. That is another good one. No, Laura. Maybe we'll be talking about that one a little bit. Worst Jinder Mahal winning the title. Don't remind me. Best AJ ending Jinder's stupid main event push at Clash of Champions. Yes, thank God. Clash of Champions poster had Charlotte and AJ on it, which, I did because they were both champion at the time. His favorite Survivor Series match is Team Austin versus Team Bischoff in 2003. I have not seen that, unfortunately. WCW had the worst endings, like Kevin Nash beat Goldberg's streak at Starrcade 1998. I've heard about it, but I've never seen it. Or Goldberg turned heel at Great American Bash. Never seen that also, but I've heard about it. Vince hates WCW, of course, because you want to know why? Because it's not the people that he built. He bought them, but it's not who he built. So he made them however he saw them. He's full of his ego. Worst Brock crash Hell in a Cell. Oh, man. Roman finally beating Brock at SummerSlam to end that feud that literally had the whole WWE on lockdown last year, as I kept saying. Worst Roman defeat The Undertaker WrestleMania 33, a bad Mania. Everybody's still saying now because the aftermath of WrestleMania 33, WrestleMania 33 wasn't that good. I still kind of enjoyed it at the time. It wasn't the best WrestleMania, but I didn't think it was one of the worst ones either. I'd still say it was a solid one, in my opinion. Of course, that ending, though, we'll get into that in a little bit. But again, it's your opinion. Chris Benoit was the world champion. Eddie was the WWE champion. Thank you for confirming that, Tyler. And Eddie beat Kurt Angle WrestleMania 20. Thank you for confirming that as well. I couldn't quite remember. Again, it's been a while since I've seen WrestleMania 20, but yep, thank you for all that, Tyler. Let's continue on and get the top 5 best pay-per-view endings in. My number 5, CM Punk walks out of WWE with the WWE title. He abandoned WWE on July, exactly 8 years ago yesterday, July 17th, 2011. It was the day CM Punk's contract came to an end. And trust him, he said, trust me, I am leaving with the WWE Championship. Well, he left. He was only on for 2 weeks, but he did leave with the WWE Championship. You talk about a heel getting massively over so much that you're forced to turn him babyface. That's exactly what happened in the summer of Punk in 2011. CM Punk dropped the biggest pipe bomb of all time. Probably one of the best things that happened on Monday Night Raw. The pipe bomb. I think it was June 26th, 2011, I believe it was. CM Punk drops that pipe bomb. Or June 27th, 1 and 2. It was like the last Raw of June in 2011. I just can't remember the exact date. And of course, obviously John Cena had seen, the popularity and CM being the guy who claims to the fans, he wanted to give CM Punk that championship match. Of course, Vince McMahon didn't trust CM Punk. In real life, let's be real, the McMahon family and CM Punk didn't really get along too well. So he basically said, fine, he says CM Punk was suspended, but you want him to get this title match. Fine, you got your match, but if CM Punk wins and walks out the championship, John Cena, you're fired. So then, of course, we had that great contract signing thing, the go home show till at the end when Punk, Punk basically just tore Vince to shreds, and of course he tore John Cena to shreds as well. Again, one of my favorite segments to definitely watch. Even though, again, one of the segments I wish I would have seen, when it actually happened. Because again, I didn't start watching WWE full time until 2013. But of course, that was amazing. Of course, where Punk announces that he was definitely leaving, even though, of course, again, he returned 2 weeks after Money in the Bank. But of course the match happens because first off, the pop CM Punk got when he came out in his hometown of Chicago, amazing. Probably one of the biggest pops the crowd has ever given. So he came out to that big pop. The match was amazing. One of the best matches, one of the best main event matches to a pay-per-view of all time for sure. And of course, during the match, Vince comes out like keeping tabs on it, worried what Punk's going to do. And then, of course, Punk wins the title, and immediately Vince is calling for Alberto Del Rio, who had just won the Raw Money in the Bank briefcase earlier that night. He comes out, but Punk just hits him with an enziguri or whatnot, and he knocks down Del Rio. And the crowd's like, they want to see CM Punk do what he was going to say. He climbed on the barricade, turned around, blew Vince McMahon a kiss, and he ran out of the building with the WWE Championship. And of course, Cena was about to get fired the next night on Raw before Triple H came out and said that Vince was relieved of his duties of running Monday Night Raw because, of course, everybody thought the show was starting to fall apart under his management. Even though, of course, a continued storyline where John Laurinaitis was secretly having people do his dirty work to give the Authority hell so he can take over the company basically, and we all know where that led to. We'll be talking about him in a little bit. My name is Mr. John Laurinaitis. Yeah, sucker. Anyways, but yes, one of the best pay-per-view endings for sure is CM Punk winning the title and taking out Vince's Plan B and abandoning WWE, running out of the building with the WWE Championship. So that is my number 5. Number 4, again, the moment that grabbed my attention and made me a WWE fan. The ending to SummerSlam 2013, the birth of the Authority. So again, I had watched, a little bit here and there. Again, I only started watching WWE when I was, just hanging out with some new friends. And then, of course, again, my first ever event again was the Christmas Raw and SmackDown tapings in 2012 when, again, Alberto Del Rio killed Santa, and then it had that Christmas street fight in the main event with Cena and Del Rio. I just remember Cena throwing the bowling ball into Del Rio's nuts. But and of course, I did watch Royal Rumble, Elimination Chamber, and WrestleMania 29. But in SummerSlam 2013 was the show that grabbed my attention. Like, WWE, you have my attention now. Basically, it was. That main event, of course, I love that. That show is still one of my favorite shows to watch. Again, I still say the better match I thought was definitely CM Punk and Brock Lesnar. Amazing. But of course, John Cena and Daniel Bryan, amazing story being told there again with, Daniel Bryan becoming extremely popular. The crowd wants him. Corporate doesn't want him. Of course, Brad Maddox wanted to be the shoddy referee and screw Daniel Bryan to do Vince's dirty work. But then Triple H, who, wasn't playing favoritism, but showed faith in Daniel Bryan, saying he wanted to be the referee at the match at SummerSlam, which happened. Triple H was referee, called it right down the middle in a fair, clean fight. Daniel Bryan beat John Cena to win the title. Afterwards, though, Randy Orton comes out, who had just won Money in the Bank and about a month ago, and he was teasing the cash in. But then, out of the blue, the man who had shown faith in Triple H, had shown faith in Daniel Bryan. It's not as bad as Michael Cole calling Triple H or saying Stephanie McMahon, Triple H's husband. One of the worst botches I've ever heard happen by commentary. But Triple H turns heel for the first time since 2006, I believe it was, and takes out Daniel Bryan with a pedigree, and Randy Orton cashes in, and he becomes the champion. and that led to the whole, B plus player storyline, the birth of the Authority, who just ran the business however they wanted to run, and just again, it was just the best story that could start from there till WrestleMania 30. Even though again it was not the original plan, but to me it was one of the best endings with pay per view because it really grabbed the hook, and I'm just like, wait, he just got screwed and he just lost his title. The seeing, the underdog, traits of Daniel Bryan. Maybe you want to see him literally get his revenge. I'm like, that's like how could it happen? Everybody was so behind him. Like they wanted to see him win, get a big victory over a guy like John Cena, who I knew was pretty much considered one of the greatest of all time when I first started watching. And it just, it was a heartbreaking moment because once again, Triple H, again, he didn't show favoritism, but again, he showed faith in Daniel Bryan. And Daniel Bryan knew that Triple H had faith in him, that he thinks Daniel Bryan can definitely be, the top guy in WWE. But in reality, he truly never thought that. But it's great storytelling, a great ending, definitely set up one of the best feuds I gotta say it's ever happened. And that's why it's my number 4. And of course, we culminate that with my number 3, The Miracle on Bourbon Street. WrestleMania 30, again, was not supposed to be Daniel Bryan's night. Daniel Bryan was originally supposed to fight Sheamus 5th on the card in like a 12-minute match, which would have been absolutely stupid. They've had 2 WrestleMania matches before, one on the pre-show that got turned into a stupid battle royale, the 18 seconds match at WrestleMania 28, and then WrestleMania 30, of course, because that's because they were going to be turning Sheamus heel when he came back, but that didn't happen, so they put the heel turn on hold. And originally, I also read, if Daniel Bryan and Kane were able to wrestle that match at WrestleMania at Money in the Bank to be 2014, that stretch match they were supposed to wrestle before Daniel Bryan was not medically cleared to do so because of his neck injury. Originally, the guys who were in the ladder match for the vacated world title were supposed to be the guys in the Money in the Bank ladder match. And apparently, Sheamus was originally supposed to win Money in the Bank in 2014, which I'm like, that would not have been a good idea because, once again, Seth Rollins was the freshest heel, singles heel. That the Money in the Bank for him was just, he probably was one of the best, was one of the best Mr. Money in the Banks I in my opinion, I gotta say. But anyway, so we get to WrestleMania 30. Still another one of my favorite shows of all time. The show opened up with Daniel Bryan and Triple H. Again, that or the Hart brothers taking on each other. Definitely my 2 best opening matches of all time for WrestleMania. Of course, we did have who was it that? Oh yeah, of course we had Brock and Seth open up this year, and last year's opener with actually the past couple years we've had some good openers because last year's in WrestleMania 34 was the Triple Threat for the IC title with Seth, Miz, and Balor. That was a great opener. WrestleMania 33, it was AJ and Shane. That was a great match to start off the show. 32 was, and 31 we were the ladder matches for the IC title. Those are great. But yeah, this one was definitely one of the best ones, with Daniel Bryan beating Triple H clean despite, some obstacles, and of course selling his injuries well. Again, I do agree with Batista though, like after Bryan won in the main event, he didn't sell his injuries at all, which I agree that he should have done that, which did kind of hurt the quality of the match a little bit, but the match show itself, the story they told that, with everybody just throwing all the last odds they could at Daniel Bryan, and it was not enough to keep him down, but of course he got that big victory, and of course, keep in mind, Vince McMahon had left to go to the hospital with The Undertaker, who passed out and was concussed after his match with Brock Lesnar. Triple H, of course, was on the headsets then. Of course, if Vince McMahon was in their ears, he probably would not have gotten that great call that Michael Cole's had. Honestly, one of the best calls of his career when he screamed out, "He did it! The Miracle Kid! The Miracle Kid! The Miracle on Bourbon Street!" Which, of course, again, he even mentioned in the 24 special when Daniel Bryan originally retired in 2016 that it was definitely one of the best calls of his career. And I definitely got to agree that even though Michael Cole has gotten a lot of crap, that was definitely one of the best calls of his career for sure. But yeah, number 3 for me is The Miracle on Bourbon Street. Number 2, it's my moment. Referring to Of course, an honorable mention definitely is the Kevin Owens heel turn at NXT TakeOver Our Evolution. But still, this one, I think, this one was more my favorite because, again, I actually saw this one live, even though it was one of those moments that we knew was happening, but NXT made us believe it may not have been happening when it happened. So NXT TakeOver Chicago won. The main event match was the ladder match for the NXT tag titles, with the Authors of Pain taking on DIY's Johnny Gargano and Tommaso Ciampa again in a ladder match for the tag titles. These guys had a series of matches in 2017. They were amazing. This match was great too. Of course, Tommaso Ciampa wrestled this match again with a torn ACL, and of course he aggravated it again during the match, but he still finished the match. There was a spot in the match. I also remember where Johnny Gargano took a bullet for Ciampa, pushed him out of the way, and took a ladder, smashed right into the face and whatnot. After the match, DIY got a standing ovation. It was kind of true, like it was DIY's swan song. Could they be going to the main roster? Was going to be next to them? Of course, Tommaso Ciampa had a decision once again, saying this wasn't our moment. It's my moment. Turning heel again. Once again, you thinking it was done with a little. This is the first time I ever noticed since watching NXT that this happened. But they had the little graphic appear up in the corner as it's about to go off the air. But then Ciampa turns, and then of course the graphic goes away, and he has that vicious assault on Johnny Gargano, claiming that he knew that just like we were going to replace him, Johnny Gargano was going to replace him as well and make everything about him as always. So if Ciampa was going to be going away for a long time, then so was Johnny Wrestling going to go away for a long, long time. And of course we had that great suspense and waiting, for Ciampa to come back. But of course, again, just seeing Johnny's aftermath of trying to move on from it, but he was struggling to do so. As I always compare it to, it's like a breakup. The girl, someone breaks up with you, and then you're trying to find you again, just be yourself and move on. But it's not as easy as you think it is. There's people taking advantage of you, just like Andrade Cien Almas and Zelina Vega, which again, a very underrated feud that again was just amazing. That definitely helped put over. Almas better in some ways. It's definitely being a more serious contender again. Before then, I just saw Almas be maybe like a mid-card wrestler on the main roster. Now, if booked right, I think Almas can definitely be a main event star on the main roster. His time will come, hopefully. But yes, it's my moment. Tommaso Ciampa's heel turn to TakeOver Chicago 1 is my number 2 for best pay-per-view ending. My number 1, nothing to me beat WrestleMania 31's ending. The heist of the century. Literally, in some ways, saved that main event for WrestleMania 31. And I can't say some ways because that match at WrestleMania 31 with Roman and Brock, take out the cash-in, I still thought that was a good match. I know those two were able to go out there and put on just like, a big, hard-hitting, of course, there would have been a lot of blood. And of course, if they were allowed blood. But it was a great, vicious, hard-hitting match. And exactly what I wanted to see out of those two. We knew Roman was probably going to be winning this match, and I think that was going to be that was supposed to be Roman's moment, even though once again it was definitely too soon for him. But and I still remember to this day, because usually whenever we have like big get-togethers for pay-per-views, with my friends and I usually have like a little paper to fill out our predictions and whatnot, and only one person out of like the 7 of us, I think, that were there, predicted Seth Rollins would cash in and win. I thought, no, it's too good. WrestleMania would be too good of a time to happen. Would they really pull that trigger on Seth Rollins at WrestleMania and do that? I can't see them doing it. And the funny thing was, it was a casual viewer. It was not, a hardcore fan like me. It was a casual viewer who predicted that. And of course, when, Roman and Brock had beaten the shit out of each other, and whenever one second, let me answer this text really quick here. I just got distracted for a second. But once again, like when Seth Music's hit, we all went nuts. I can't believe this is happening, because Roman was literally Roman and Brock had beaten the shit out of each other by this point, and of course Roman was having like his last breaths, basically, like knocking Brock down with those 3 or 4 Superman punches. They were both laid out. and then out came Seth, who ran down again with no J&J security, no anybody, came down, cashed in. Of course, Brock was about to be at 5 on Seth. Roman speared Brock, which got Brock out of the way. Seth just came off from on top of Brock, as you said, for the F5, and he curb stomped Roman and Seth Rollins. Of course, apparently you can kind of hear Seth Rollins, what they showed, in a video, saying thank you to Roman for basically, somewhat stealing his WrestleMania moment in some ways. But Seth Rollins pulled off, again, the heist of the century, being the only person to cash in at WrestleMania, as, again, he cashes in and he wins the WWE World Heavyweight Championship for the first time in his career. And the crowd just popped and went nuts. And Robbie-Wan Kenobi, I know you were there live for that, so I know that was an amazing moment for you to experience live. I definitely, thought it was amazing, and I thought it was, a great moment for a fresh star like Seth Rollins, for sure. It would definitely build up his reputation very well. Again, Roman Reigns, had the great tools, put in a great match, but once again, they just tried to push the guy at the wrong time, as I always say. But again, still props to him and Brock. They had a great match at WrestleMania 31 before that cash even happens. And even if Roman would have won, I would have been satisfied, because they gave me the match that I wanted to see. But that is my number 1 for best pay-per-view endings of all time. My list, once again, is number 10 is Edge's New Year's resolution, is cash in New Year's resolution 2006. Number 9 is Hounds of Champions, Shield brothers winning the title within 5 minutes of each other at Money in the Bank 2016. Number 8 was Stinger Strikes WWE when he debuted at Survivor Series 2014. Number 7, the Undisputed debut, Undisputed Era, made debuts and as a faction at NXT TakeOver Brooklyn 3. Number 6 is Chris Benoit and Eddie Guerrero closing out WrestleMania 20. Number 5 is CM Punk leaving WWE after winning the title at Money in the Bank 2011. Number 4 is the Birth of the Authority at SummerSlam 2013. Number 3 is the Miracle on Bourbon Street WrestleMania 30. Number 2, It's My Moment, NXT TakeOver Chicago 1. And number 1 at WrestleMania 31, the Heist of the Century. Let's check the live chat real quick and see what we got here in the live chat. Let's see what we got here. Brock win Money in the Bank was the worst, or winning the red piece of crap at Extreme Rules. Yeah, well, winning the belt Extreme Rules, yes, that won them, but to me it was like, at that point, to me, it was just whatever. We knew it was going to come at some point, but, the World Heavyweight Champion is better than the Universal Championship for sure. Get ready for the worst. Yeah, I didn't like Big Johnny either. We don't know which to charge. A worst is Goldberg not winning the title at SummerSlam, the Elimination Chamber. That's definitely a good one there. It bothered me for 16 years that Goldberg didn't win the belt. They should have done so. If I did Bryan's Dallas feud and put a bounty on AJ head for Mania, not sure what you mean. 18 seconds. He doesn't like that Brock hurt The Undertaker WrestleMania 30. Me neither. Chris Jericho beating The Rock and Stone Cold at Vengeance since 2011 to become the Undisputed Champion. That was a great. The end of WCW and ECW storyline. I didn't get to see that, but of course that's definitely not good. Goldberg destroyed Brock at Survivor Series 2016. I did not expect Goldberg to squash Brock like he did. That was something else. Although it would have been nice to see Brock his first loss, how long to somebody else. I mean, because of course before then, Brock did lose his return match to John Cena in 2012, which was stupid. Brock also lost to Triple H at WrestleMania 29. But it would have been nice to see someone else beat, Brock, besides like a legend. But still that was still a good match for sure. I enjoyed that 90-second squash. But anyways, though. Let's move on to, well, first off, again, I had like a neutral, honorable mention, because I wanted to put this on one of my lists, but I couldn't decide if it the best or the worst. It was good, but then what eventually led to absolutely, it was misleading in the end. And that was mentioned in the live chat earlier, but The Undertaker's last ride, not WrestleMania 33. The main event was Roman Reigns versus The Undertaker. Why? Just because Roman Reigns was in the match, and they had to make Roman Reigns a main event for the 3rd year in a row. That streak ended this year whenever the women main evented. Ronda Rousey, Charlotte Flair, and Becky Lynch, all three definitely well deserving of that spot. But so the match at WrestleMania 33, it was not good. It was very hard to watch. It was just sad. It really just showed that Undertaker just didn't really have it anymore. He was not in good shape. He had a gut. He botched trying to pick up Roman for the tombstone or something. I can't remember. It was not just a bad match, but it was one of those matches that it was hard to watch because you really just felt emotional watching this match. Afterwards, of course, Roman beat The Undertaker. Now, here's the thing. If this was Undertaker's first loss, and you're doing this to give us the suspense that, maybe, this could be the end and may not be the end, then maybe I could still be accepting of this. But again, the ending was still a great emotional. It was emotional, of course. Again, some of us at the house were crying. I didn't though. But it was an emotional moment as the Undertaker. Well, again, this is not where the Undertaker retired. His hat retired basically, and his ring gear retired because I don't think he's really used that same ring gear since. So, anyways, so after Roman leaves, not shaking hands with the Undertaker at all, Taker sits up, suffering his second loss at WrestleMania. And he takes off the gloves, he takes off the cloak, he takes off the hat, and he leaves it in the ring. He walks out, he sees his wife, who's Michelle McCool, and shares a kiss with her, walks like halfway up the ramp, puts his arm up, and then ascends down. But basically, took like a little mini elevator, took him down, instead of walking all the way up the ramp. And the lights go out, and that's how WrestleMania 33 went off the air. Now, if that was Taker's last match for sure, or if it was his first loss at WrestleMania, that would have worked out fine for the suspense. But the fact that it basically felt like, Taker was calling it quits there, he is the second loss at WrestleMania. It's like he was calling it quits. And, Roman Reigns going around saying, I retired The Undertaker, which then you didn't because he returned the following year, even though at WrestleMania 34, I liked how, they had the light on the ring where, the Undertaker's, hat and coat was there. I appreciate they tried to tell a story of if he was, rising back up again. But, it's like it kind of, made that moment look pointless. So that's why I'm neutral where to put that as a best because it was a great, with how they shot it and how it was done. But the fact that what happened after, I can't really consider that the best, but I don't want to consider it a worst either out of respect for the dead man. But so that's what my honorable neutral pick, I gotta say, is the Undertaker's last ride at WrestleMania 33. But let's get into the worst now. Of course, this was definitely hard as I definitely have some more recent ones, some old ones, but get ready for some ranting here, guys. Let's get rolling with the top 10 worst pay-per-view endings of all time, starting off with number 10. Trying to think of a goofy name for this one, but I'm going to call this the Code Breaker Out of Love. Now, I can't say love because it was to save a friendship, but what am I talking about here? Well, it was a pay-per-view I attended live back in 2016 that I always say I wasted $100 on, and I left my best friend's Christmas party early just to attend this pay-per-view. Roadblock End of the Line 2016. Yeah, that was basically Sunday. It was one of the worst pay-per-views of 2016, but to me it felt like Sunday, like an average episode of Raw. That's what it felt like. Very pointless show, did not need to happen. And of course, the main event again was the Universal Champion Kevin Owens taking on the United States Champion Roman Reigns, but just the Universal title was on the line. Once again, the United States Championship was just, again, of all Roman's championship runs, that was definitely the worst one. Roman's U.S. title run. That was just terrible. Again, he took that prize and treated it like a demotion. Barely defended it, and of course, the thing that didn't make it fresh at all is only thing we were getting in the main event of Raw for how many weeks was matches with involving Roman Reigns, Kevin Owens, Chris Jericho, and Seth Rollins. Roman Reigns, Kevin Owens, Chris Jericho, and Seth Rollins. Those were the only people who felt that mattered on the show because those were the only four guys that kept facing each other for like how many weeks in 2016 after the brand split first came back. But this ending was so stupid. So once again, how many times, of course, did any of Kevin Owens' matches end by disqualification or with interference? It was just the same crap every time they had the matches where it involved any of those 4 guys. So we get to this main event, and they had been teasing some tension with Kevin Owens and Chris Jericho off and on, and that was the case here. So towards the end of the match, Roman was about to win. Out came Chris Jericho. And Jericho got into the ring, stared down Roman Reigns, even though, once again, there was some tension going on with him and Kevin Owens. Jericho turns, hits a code breaker on Kevin Owens, causing a disqualification for Kevin Owens to be considered the winner. But found out they did that on purpose. That way, Kevin Owens would still win the match through disqualification. But he basically, hurt his own, his own best friend. That's how they forgave each other. And afterwards, Roman and Seth came down and just beat the both of them down, made them both look like idiots. As always, it was always the same stuff, a disqualification. Roman and Seth beats them down. And, because once again, just during times where WWE was extremely desperate again to, just get people to cheer for Roman Reigns. And again, it did nothing for me. It did nothing it made Kevin Owens and Chris Jericho look worse. It did nothing for Roman Reigns. It just made Seth Rollins once again look like Roman Reigns' sidekick. Once again, oh, they love Seth, so what about them with Roman? And they'll cheer them both and love what they do. Do the whole Shield powerbomb stuff. Once again, just shoving it down our throats. Yes, all 4 of these guys, great talents. Definitely all deserve to be the spots that they're in. However, once again, you gotta book them ready to get us to care. And literally having, Chris Jericho, just hit a code breaker on Kevin Owens to make sure he wins the match, despite the fact that they're good friends. Of course, the suspense of was that on purpose or what, but just that bull crap. One of the worst pay-per-view endings to me of all time for sure. That's why that one's number 10. Also, again, the fact that I saw that one live. Yeah, not a good pay-per-view to see live, guys. So that, again, is my number 10. My number 9 is a match that I completely forgot about because I'm thinking back to, recent pay-per-views, that may have had some bad endings. And I actually felt this one should kind of definitely be considered as one of the worst main event matches for sure, depending on pay-per-view, because it was just a mess. It was just a cluster crap. And I'm sorry, I'm being a little more cautious with what I say, but apparently I got a random community guideline strike, warning on one of my video game Let's Plays yesterday, and I still have no clue what I said that was wrong in that video. I put in an appeal, still got to wait here back about it. But anyways, but this was just a messy match for sure, of a main event. But anyways, so I'm talking about the main event from Extreme Rules 2015. Seth Rollins, the WWE World Heavyweight Champion, taking on Randy Orton. Now, in weeks prior to this, they each had a match where if they won the match, they would get to pick a stipulation for their match. And Orton won his match. Seth Rollins, though, basically begged Kane to lay down for him. And this is where they kind of start slowly turning Kane babyface. So Seth Rollins said his stipulation was to ban Randy Orton's RKO because that was a move that it felt, he was getting one-upped on. Randy Orton said because Seth Rollins likes to, highlight other people, he says, they need to have their match inside a steel cage. Okay, not bad stipulations. But then, of course, they add in Kane being the gatekeeper of this match. And this just got really messy. Kane was still, showing favoritism towards the Authority, preventing Orton from winning the match. But, because there was some tension with him and Seth that went on forever again. And, of course, they wrote off Kane for like 3 months. Then he came back as some weirdo when he feuded with Seth for the championship, going into Hell in a Cell area. That was just a terrible feud, basically, which on the bright side, it at least got rid of Corporate Kane because I could not stand the Corporate Kane character. Not him at all. but it was just so messy. Like, Kane was like basically just taking it. It was almost a repeat in some ways of the end to Battleground 2013. We'll get to that shortly, in some ways, but not completely. Where Kane basically was not going to let either one of them win that match. It was confusing. It was weird. And then the biggest thing about this match I noticed is Seth Rollins wins when he hits an RKO. Of course, he called it SKO the following night on Raw. But my thing was, yes, of course, so Randy can't do the move, but doesn't that mean Seth can't do the move either? Well, I can't remember if the referee was distracted or not. But still, Rollins hits the SKO to get the victory. It was a very sloppy, very confusing, just, it was just not a clean, it was just a very confusing ending that literally did nothing for anybody. Again, I wasn't going to want to see, Seth Rollins, Randy Orton, and Kane in a triple threat match at Payback. Well, in the end, we got a fatal four-way with the three members of the Shield and Randy Orton in a fatal four-way instead, which I didn't get to watch that pay-per-view, but I saw highlights of it. That was probably the best part of that average show. But other than that, yeah, again, it was just a very messy match. Again, Seth winning with an SKO, as he calls it. But again, it was like the move was banned, so why was he able to do it? But again, I can't remember if the referee, was distracted or knocked out or something. I don't remember. It was just so messy with Kane being the gatekeeper. It was a wreck. I think the match probably would have been better and the story would have been better if Kane wasn't involved in it. But yeah, just a very messy main event and a messy way to close Extreme Rules 2015. The SKO. Speaking of, again, we were talking about before, number 8 is No Winner at Battleground 2013. So at Night of Champions 2013, Daniel Bryan beat Randy Orton for the WWE World Heavyweight Championship. But the referee of that match, Scott Armstrong, claimed that Daniel Bryan bribed him for a fast count. Because of that, Triple H dethroned Daniel Bryan. Bryan claimed that was not true. That was the Authority playing their mind games. And then, there's no champion, so they were going to decide the vacated champion at Battleground. Of course, when it wasn't decided here, and it had to wait till Hell in a Cell, kind of made the whole point of the title being vacated kind of pointless, I'll be honest. But this is also during a time, where the Authority was taking advantage of people such as the Big Show, who apparently was broke. But once again, like, how many times again has Big Show played these roles? So during the match at Battleground, Big Show came running out. He was told to knock out Daniel Bryan. He does. Then he also knocks out the official, and he also knocks out Randy Orton. Once again, like, it's no better than something else I'll get to on this list that happened in 2018. It did nothing for anybody. Like, Battleground, I never seen Battleground 2013. I've never watched that pay-per-view. I've seen highlights, of course, from the match, because I wanted to see highlights from the match involving the Rhodes Brothers and the Shield. That was a match of the year candidate. I heard probably the only good thing from that show. But other than that, it was a very, very bad show. Definitely one of the worst shows for sure of recent memory, been being told. But again, it did nothing. What was the point of giving Big Show this nod? Again, Big Show has been around for how long? He doesn't need that moment at all. It did nothing for him. Just set an eventual match with him and Orton at Survivor Series that was not that good either, to be honest. It was pointless. Again, it just made the fact that this title being vacated even more pointless for no reason whatsoever. And quite frankly, again, I just thought it was a very stupid way to end the show. But Battleground 2013's ending, the No Winner of Battlegrounds number 8. Oh gosh, this one, I remember this one almost made me sick. Speaking of which, let me take a sip of water first. Number 7. It made me really feel like I was in one of these this night. Punjabi Prison. Battleground 2017. My worst pay-per-view of the year in 2017. Oh gosh, this was a really bad show. And that build to that show was, again, right around the time I felt that SmackDown had completely collapsed after being on a roll for how long. The main event was Randy Orton and Jinder Mahal for the WWE title inside the Punjabi prison. Oh boy, which again, why would, I get they're trying to bring it back with, Jinder having the India character, but once again, it made no sense because they've already, Jinder's already beaten Randy. Like why would Jinder want to have the Punjabi prison match? When he knows he can't beat Randy without help of the same brothers, but just a crappy match. It was terrible. Again, it feels more like an obstacle course rather than a wrestling match. Is why I've never cared at all for these matches, and that's why they never need to exist anymore. But the reason why this match is on this list is because of what happened right at the end. So Orton's about to climb out of the prison and win the match, when all of a sudden we hear Jinder's music being played again, and you're wondering like what, like why the hell is this? Like why is this happening? And then they show the ramp, and he's not using his own music, but out for the first time since I believe 2014. I gotta say, I think the last time he appeared was Battleground 2014 in that Intercontinental Title Battle Royale when the IC title was vacated when Bad News Barrett was injured. Out comes the Great Khali. Never a fan of the Great Khali, and with how bad that show was already, I guess I always say this story. I'm sitting here on my bed. I wish I was doing live reactions. I'm like literally just like confused. I'm like, why are they playing Jinder's music if he's in the ring already? And then when I see it's the Great Khali, I said nothing. I literally just got off my bed, walked right across the hall into the bathroom. I thought I was going to throw up, and I flat out just screamed out, "Why?" Because I thought we're going to have the Great Khali returning full time. We're going to begin with Randy Orton, the Great Khali at SummerSlam. Like there's all these rumors of that, and a match with John Cena, Randy Orton, against the Great Khali and Jinder Mahal, like these stupid fans. I'm like, this does absolutely nothing. All he did was come out and basically prevent Orton from escaping the prison, and then he helped Jinder win. Which once again, Jinder was definitely one of the worst world champions we had this era for sure. He never was worthy of that title. I'm sorry it wasn't. It was a whole waste of time again because once again, he dropped the title before the India tour, and he lost his match with Triple H on that tour, a tour that was built around him. And the reason why he lost is Triple H said, well, he's not ready yet to be a main eventer. Then why did you waste all that time building him up to be one? Again, my thing was, if they really wanted to have a moment for Jinder Mahal at this tour, what they should have done is start slow with him. They could have, built him up, put him in the mid-card feud, had him, win like the U.S. title was on, the U.S. title or something like that. And then maybe drop the U.S. title, and then, maybe he'll be worthy then to be, a main eventer, and then he could, win the world title on that India tour. Like they could have done that instead, but instead they rushed into the main event scene, like literally had him in catering, and all of a sudden he can win matches out of nowhere. And it made no sense. He was cutting some of the worst promos ever, especially that stuff with Shinsuke Nakamura and just beating people that, they wouldn't even let anybody, like Roman Reigns or anybody else beat, yet he can beat Shinsuke Nakamura clean. He could beat Randy Orton clean. Oh God. And then of course, he was one of, again, Baron Corbin, back when I cared about him, couldn't even kick out of an AA. But Jinder Mahal was able to kick out of an AA. Jinder Mahal kicked out of John Cena's AA, but Baron Corbin didn't. That is saying something right there. But that was a nightmare. That was just a nightmare of a run for sure. And that's why, of course, that ending to that Punjabi prison match with the Great Khali coming out is my number 7 on my worst pay-per-view endings of all time. Number 6, People Power burns C Nation down. Oh gosh. Oh man. Once again, CM Punk's 434-day title reign. I believe I counted. Out of the 13 pay-per-views Punk was champion, 8 of those he didn't main event the show. And who was in that main event match? That's right. You can't see me, John Cena. Which, once again, all respect to John, but it's like, the world champion wasn't getting his main event opportunities, and you were. And again, what was supposed to be once again Cena's worst year ever, which once again, as I always said, 2012. Look what he did. He got past Kane. He got to make out with Eva Marie. No, I'm sorry, not with Eve Torres, and he also made out with AJ Lee for crying out, even though of course she broke his heart, but still, he had to make out with AJ Lee. He beat Brock Lesnar. He what are you doing at SummerSlam? Oh, he lost this Punk that year. But, Cena had, I wouldn't say that was Cena's worst year. It was so over-dramatized. But one, of course, the most embarrassing things the company ever had was the fact that he lost to John Laurinaitis. A non-wrestler, a corporate figure, was the main event. Okay, Laurinaitis had wrestled years earlier, but it's been 10 years since he had last wrestled. Cena and Laurinaitis was the main event of Over the Limit 2012 over Daniel Bryan and CM Punk, which they had a great match. When I actually did watch that show, so I wanted to see that match. I watched it on the network one time. So the main event was John Cena and John Laurinaitis. And again, the stipulation was that, it was one-on-one. No one's going to be helping out Laurinaitis. No stipulations. I believe there was no stipulations to it at all. And any superstar got involved, they would be immediately fired. And John Laurinaitis had to win the match or else he was going to be fired. And so basically, John Cena beat up John Laurinaitis for 24 minutes. It was stupid. It should have been just 5 minutes. If it was going to be a squash match, it should have been just 5 minutes. But instead, Cena beat up Laurinaitis for 5 minutes. Laurinaitis ran away into the crowd. And then, of course, dragging him back in was Big Show, who had been fired the week before, so he was not a WWE superstar. And then Big Show eventually, when Cena's about to win the match, Big Show knocks out Cena, which once again was technically not a superstar at that point, and helps Laurinaitis beat John Cena. Just so John Cena and Big Show can main event the next pay-per-view. With once again the same stipulation, except this time Big Show is fighting John Laurinaitis' battle. So, what was the point of this match again? Just to see, instead of seeing your world champion and WWE champion and Daniel Bryan put on a clinic in the main event, we had to see John Cena beat up John Laurinaitis for 24 minutes just for Cena to get knocked out with a knockout punch and for Laurinaitis to win. And as Cena said the following night on Raw, he goes, it's I usually come out and congratulate people who beat me, but last night, what the hell happened? And of course, he just wanted to beat the hell out of Big Show again. But not a good ending to a pay-per-view at all. The Over 2012. People Power, Burn Down the C Nation is my number 6. So far, for my worst list, we have number 10, the Codebreaker Out of Love. Jericho code-breaking Owens for Owens to win by disqualification at Roadblock End of the Line 2016. Number 9, SKO, that messy main event at Extreme Rules 2015. Number 8 was the no-winner at Battleground 2013 when Big Show knocked out both Daniel Bryan and Randy Orton. Number 7, the Punjabi Prison, Battleground 2017. Number 6, People Power burns C Nation down at Over the Limit 2012. Let's see what we've got here. Let's see what we got here. Let me see what we got here. I think we were here. We were with Robbie. What's up, Robbie? Which I mentioned to you earlier. What did I say? Oh, yeah, I mentioned to you when I was talking about how, I'm pretty sure seeing the Heist of the Century in person was definitely amazing for you. Battleground 2013 when Big Show knocked out both Bryan and Randy Orton during the title match for sure. Worse was Brock winning at last year's Mania. Definitely, yes, good honorable mention there. Don't forget, Mike, the night after Roadblock. Oh, yeah. Oh man, they were in Columbus, and Mick Foley's hyping up Raw tonight, and it'll take place right here in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. And I'm like, Mick, That was last night. You were in Pittsburgh last night. You're in Columbus tonight, man. That segment was god awful. Oh yeah, and also you remember how, of course, Chris Jericho tried to have the plan where Owens was going to win, so that way there was no excuse for Roman to get a rematch. Yeah, Roman still got a rematch. It was handed the following night. It was eventually made no disqualification, I think it was, but the match ended up actually being pretty good at Royal Rumble 2017. But yeah, the match with Jericho and Reigns. I'm sorry, not with Owens and Jericho. Owens and Reigns for the Universal title with Chris Jericho in a shark cage. That actually going to be a pretty good match. But the build to that was god awful, for sure. Best The Rock winning the WWF Championship at Backlash 2000. Nice. One of the all-time best pay-per-view endings. Punk leaving Chicago. That was mentioned the best one. Yes, Robbie. Worst was Lashley winning the ECW title at December 2006. God, I've never seen that show, but I keep hearing that's one of the worst shows of all time. SKO just doesn't have that same flair and impact. # sorry, Seth. I agree. It was like WCW 2000 main event Extreme Rules 2015. That's terrible to compare it to, but it probably was the case. Robbie mentioned Roman Reigns versus Braun Strowman, the only Hell in a Cell main event to ever end in a no contest. We will get to that. The worst thing, the Great Khali got a pin over the Undertaker. That's right. He beat the Undertaker in 2006. Yeah, he sucked. Of course, in Shinsuke Nakamura's voice, well, sticks and stones to make my bones, the words never hurt me. The way he said it whenever Jinder Mahal was making fun of his facial expressions were stupid. Kane and Mick Foley, the first one that the Hell in a Cell to set up Stone Cold and the Undertaker at SummerSlam 1998. Over the Limit 2012, the night People Power main event over CM Punk and Daniel Bryan, which is pathetic. In 2018, Roman main event, the pay-per-view, but AJ Styles was a champion, not main event, any co-brand pay-per-view. They should not have done a co-brand pay-per-view. Again, I agree. I'm sorry. Not all pay-per-views should be co-branded. B pay-per-views don't need to be co-branded. Again, they don't need to be 4 hours long. I'm okay with doing branded, just like, specific brands of pay-per-views, but once again, Raw gets 1 month, SmackDown gets the next month. And then, Raw 1 month, SmackDown next, come together for for dual brand, for Royal Rumble, SummerSlam, Money in the Bank, Survivor Series, that's it. We don't need to have all pay-per-views being dual branded. And another thing too is I keep saying they're putting all these title matches on the card, and they're just making no room for any non-title feuds, which, again, the non-title feuds were interesting because they're more interesting storylines. You got to rely on storylines for those matches and not just, say, oh, the title involved. Oh, the story's just getting a shot for the title. Well, okay, but what else is there to the point, as I've always said? I'm surprised Cena wasn't hurt career-wise after his loss to Big Johnny, which I agree. They should have had Cena face a Big Johnny hand pick at Over the Limit. Yes, definitely. 2003, one match of 1 month of brand pay-per-view, which was Fastlane the last time AJ main evented as WWE champion, which I believe so, yeah, because he didn't main event WrestleMania 34, even though properly booked match. Well, again, the match he hit with Nakamura had was all right, but it was nowhere what we wanted to see. But a classic AJ Nakamura match was definitely main event worthy WrestleMania. They didn't main event Greatest Royal Rumble. They didn't main event Backlash. They should have main evented Backlash, but instead it was Roman and Joe. I don't know why that had to be the main event. Money in the Bank, no. Extreme Rules, no. Although that match with AJ and Rusev, I think, was worthy of being in the main event, I think. I'm glad they gave a chance to Rollins and Ziggler. I'm sorry. Pittsburgh ruined that match. It wasn't Rollins and Ziggler. Pittsburgh ruined that match with, them, just hijack it with the countdown. That was stupid. Didn't main event SummerSlam. Not Hell in a Cell. And nope, not Super Showdown or Crown Jewel. Sorry, Crown Jewel. Still hate that show. And then, of course, he dropped the title. But yeah, that's right. AJ barely main evented. The last time AJ main evented a pay-per-view was when it was Fastlane. That's quite a shame, though, for sure. The Universal title, and some other stupid match didn't need a main event over the WWE title for sure. AJ definitely deserves some more main event spots, being the 371-day champion that he was. But let's get to the final top 5 worst pay-per-view endings. Then again, I'll go back and read the best list for those who are joining us late. But number 5 to me is Sheamus Goes Corporate. The ending, in my opinion, to one of the worst pay-per-views I personally have ever seen live when it's aired, actually. Survivor Series 2015. That was such a bad show. It was boring. It was pointless. It did nothing for me. So the main event was the finals of the WWE Championship Tournament since Seth Rollins got out of the injury, and it was Roman Reigns versus Dean Ambrose. It was a very short match. That match was quick. Afterwards, they had all this confetti coming down to celebrate Roman's win. Triple H, who of course tried to offer Roman to be his guy when this tournament first happened, but he refused. He spears Triple H, and then Sheamus comes out of nowhere and cashes in. Now, again, as I've always mentioned, I respect Sheamus. He's definitely someone that, I would say he's one of my favorites of all time, but I'd say I respect, his work ethic and, all he's done for the company for sure. And him being Money in the Bank as a heel, I definitely thought was a good idea in 2015. But then they just booked him like crap with that briefcase, and it did not work out, and it's a shame. And they made him into a joke. Like, remember, earlier in that show, they had no 5-on-5 elimination match, built at all for this show, which was a shame because it's Survivor Series. Instead, they had just some random match with, I forgot who was the babyface 5. I remember the heel 5 was all 3 members of New Day and a team of King Barrett and Sheamus. And then Sheamus said it was one of those lines someone says when you sound ridiculous and they look at you like you could hear a pin drop, basically. Like, it's like you say some people look at them like, what the hell did you just say, basically? And that's that's exactly how Sheamus looked as Mr. Money in the Bank, unfortunately, like an idiot. He did nothing, of course, but lose matches, as Mr. Money in the Bank always seems to do. If they would have built him up better, maybe him cashing in on Roman would have been a bad idea. But once again, Vince panicked because Roman wasn't going to get that reaction. So he's like, oh, wow, put on Sheamus. Then we put on Sheamus. People will hate Sheamus and want to see Roman win the title. It did not work because we saw right through your plan. And yes, Sheamus going corporate and join the Authority. At some point, I'll be honest, I thought that was going to be a good idea. I thought before Seth Rollins, of course, turned on his Shield, I thought with Batista leaving, I thought maybe that'll be when Sheamus turns heel and joins the Authority or something like that. I think I was thinking like time maybe like Sheamus or the Ascension or something like that. I thought in 2014 could join the Authority, have like a new corporate, some new corporate faces basically or something like that. But it just did not work. What did this lead to? The League of Nations. The League of Jobbers, as we call them. Terrible stable. But yeah, that cash in, Roman winning it was what it was. And then trying to push it down our throats more by having Sheamus cash in and beating Roman for the title was just absolutely stupid. Definitely a terrible ending. Again, to me, one of the worst pay-per-views I personally have ever watched when it first happened. But definitely one of the worst for sure at my number 5. Let's get into what most was saying in the live chat. Number 4, I want to call No Contest in Hell. No Contest in Hell. So not only was a storyline with Roman Reigns and Braun Strowman last fall a mess, because once again, Braun Strowman was just cashing in Money in the Bank just like anyone would do, both being baby faces. And what does this do? It reunites the Shield, who takes out Braun Strowman, honestly making the Shield look like the heels. But instead, they turn Braun Strowman heel, which made absolutely no sense. And of course, he aligns him with with Ziggler and McIntyre. They call them the Dogs of War, which was, again, that's a Vince name. You can tell it's a Vince name. And it sets up, of course, Roman Reigns and Braun Strowman inside Hell in a Cell. And I thought, these two have had great matches in the past. I'm pretty sure, win or lose, no matter what's going to happen, it's going to be an awesome match. Well, I say we only had like 5 or 6 minutes of an actual match because most of the match going on was outside with Ambrose, Rollins, Ziggler, McIntyre, who just put on one of the best tag matches of last year for sure, which is an amazing Raw tag team title match they had at Hell in a Cell last year. They were brawling all over outside Hell in a Cell, which was doing nothing for the match. And then after brawling, we have Brock Lesnar come out, rip down the cage. And again, I've seen Braun Strowman take a worse beating. I've seen Roman Reigns take worse beatings. But he basically just does like, a typical beatdown on both of them. Again, it didn't look that effective at all. But because of that, oh no, Roman and Braun are unable to continue the match, making it a pointless main event, a no contest. A Hell in a Cell match ends in a no contest. And it wasn't even a convincing, again, way to, end the match. Roman and Strowman had taken worse beatings before than that. Way worse. They had plenty of time to recover while, again, their cronies were duking it out outside of the cage. It was nothing special. Randy Orton and Jeff Hardy put on an amazing Hell in a Cell match to open up the show last year. And believe it or not, for the most part, this was a good pay-per-view last year. That ending, though, just hurt it. It hurt the show. It plummeted, the grade for sure. And it was stupid. Literally, WWE once again going out of their way to protect the hell out of Roman Reigns, no pun intended. And instead, you literally made everybody else look absolutely stupid and made Hell in a Cell look pointless as well. Because once again, how does a Hell in a Cell match end in a no contest? Literally, it was not convincing to believe that, neither of those superstars could continue the match. Just to set up a triple threat match at Crown Jewel that did not happen because of Roman's leukemia, which, again, thank goodness he's gone into remission with that. But stupid. Just absolutely stupid. Number 4, no contest in hell. Number 3, Beast in the Bank. What the hell, WWE? So, going to this match, yes, it was stacked with some good high flyers, but there really wasn't that many people in this match that stood out to me as people I felt who really needed to win Money in the Bank. Really wasn't anybody. Again, I was picking, I'd say the only ones I definitely thought for sure were, could have used it then was Andrade Cien Almas, maybe Drew McIntyre, I don't know. But my pick was Sami Zayn. I felt with him coming back, this new character, he's been underutilized since day one on the main roster. This would be a golden opportunity for him to win. And he won that spot by having help, of course, to take out Braun Strowman, and he succeeded. So I thought, why not, just have Sami Zayn win that briefcase. It'll help him elevate his career for sure. And once he catches in, he'll be a world champion, and it'll be great. No, instead, you had Sami Zayn get taken out. So Sami Zayn replaces Braun Strowman, right? Then Sami gets taken out, which makes that all look pointless. And then so the 7 out of the 8 guys start the match, and apparently Mustafa Ali was told he was winning that match. But then, guess who comes out? I thought maybe it was going to be some big, exciting name going to come out to be the 8th person. Do you know who it was? It was Brock Lesnar. Comes out, and the thing was, Brock Lesnar wasn't even a typical character. Usually, he's just some guy comes out with some kill tough guy pose. He comes out acting like some cocky party boy crashing a party. Basically, I'm like, first off, this isn't Brock. He comes out, just pushes the ladder over, knocks poor Mustafa Ali off. Which, if Ali would have won, I would have been fine with that. I just didn't think he was in that much need of the briefcase yet. Knocks him off. Brock climbs up the ladder, and he wins a briefcase again. Boomboxing. It's like, that's not him. It's not him in character. And once again, what in the hell did Brock Lesnar as Mr. Money in the Bank do for anything? Oh, well, he needed to re-earn his title opportunity. Well, tell that to the other exceptions you've given to the other people who didn't earn their opportunities. They were just handed it to them, Vince. You dumbass. Why? What did this do? This did nothing. You could have elevated Sami Zayn. You could have elevated Andrade Cien Almas. Again, At this point, Drew McIntyre, I mean, make things a little more interesting with this pairing with him and Shane. Have Drew McIntyre win the briefcase maybe, and he eventually could cash in. He could be the world champion instead of Shane. That would work. Instead, you give it to Brock Lesnar, a guy we were begging for months to take the title off of. Once again, no, you couldn't take the title off unless Roman Reigns is going to get that big pop of a moment whenever that was going to happen. The WWE was on lockdown until that moment happened last year. That's what it exactly felt like. And once again, when Roman got sick, you should have learned your lesson. We can't put our eggs in the basket on one guy. So I thought maybe this will make things right, and they'll finally put the world title on Braun Strowman at Crown Jewel. But once again, you didn't. You put it back on your Beast Boombox, boy. Up mine, WWE. But yeah, so again, it did nothing. Like when it happened last Sunday, when the cash happened, I'm like, I'm not supposed to be happy. And I knew that's what was going to happen. I ranted about it for a month saying when it happens, I'm not going to be happy because it's going to do nothing for me. It did nothing for me. Just set up a WrestleMania rematch with Brock and Seth for SummerSlam. That's all it did. Hope Seth wins it back because I don't want to see Brock as champion again. If you want to keep Brock around, put him in other matches. Fine. Just not any more world title matches or world title runs for Brock. When will WWE learn? It's not different. It's not fresh. Yes, several matches with someone else than Brock Lesnar could be fresh. But Brock Lesnar does not need to be the world champion as soon as he steps into the ring. It drives me freaking crazy. Seriously. Number 3, though, Beast in the Bank. Number 2, I want to call it Hogan's Last Laugh. WrestleMania 9, worst WrestleMania of all time. Man, it was Yokozuna and Bret Hart. And then Yokozuna wins. New star, WrestleMania moment. Never really a big Yokozuna fan in the first place, but, it was fresh. But then Hulk Hogan comes out, who's about to leave for WCW in a few months anyways. And he just randomly challenges Yokozuna to a championship match, and he wins it. And at the time, people were sick of Hogan basically being the main event team. They wanted something different. So, yes, the show was terrible. It was pointless because, once again, this is during a time, once again, like in the mid-'90s where the WWF was getting their butts kicked as WCW and ECW were thriving. And the talent was very thin in the WWF, and people were leaving to go to WCW. And once again, you did nothing fresh. You didn't build a new star. Instead, you just took a moment away by just giving it to Hulk Hogan, who'd already had a WrestleMania moment basically just about all the WrestleManias before that. So, again, what did this do for anybody? So, number 2 is Hogan's Last Laugh. And my number 1, to me, it had to be the worst Royal Rumble ever. Yes, 95 was pretty bad, but again, that was thin on talent, and again, it didn't feel that special. But to me, the worst Royal Rumble ever, Royal Rumble 2015. WWE literally just, sabotaged the fans that night. WWE literally deliberately gave the fans exactly what they didn't want. And once again, it wasn't just because Daniel Bryan did not win. It was would have been the right decision. But the biggest problem with Royal Rumble 2015 is nobody came out of this Rumble looking good at all. Again, I was into this match until Daniel Bryan got eliminated like he was nothing, like after only being there for like 10 minutes. And, the effects of Bryan getting eliminated and whatnot. Just, how they shot it and whatnot. Again, like, it was like, yeah, this is awesome all of a sudden. Because I remember what was worse about that night, again, I didn't have the network yet. So I had to watch that at a friend's house who had the network. And it snowed 6 inches that night. I had to drive home after seeing this crappy pay-per-view in 6 inches of snow, which, was a huge mistake by me for sure. But again, it's not just that Bryan didn't win. Bryan was a nobody in this match. He got thrown out like he was nobody, and everybody else got thrown out like they were nobody. Guess who eliminated everybody? Big Show and Kane. Did nothing for nobody. Like, literally, as soon as Bryan was eliminated, first off, Michael Cole on commentary flat out says, I know it hurts. Because once again, just showing that they knew that the fans would reject it. And I guess there's a rumor that I guess they did that because they thought that, well, maybe if they got Bryan out early, they get out of their system, then, accept Roman winning. They were not going to accept Roman winning based off of what you did to Bryan. You basically set up nothing for him. Like if Bryan was going to lose this match, or get eliminated this Rumble, it had been by someone who literally was going to lead to an eventual match with. This is basically the similar trend that all pay-per-views had from then on for like a couple years. Nothing mattered on that show except for Roman Reigns, who was the biggest victim out of this whole thing. Again, Dean Ambrose looked silly. Dolph Ziggler looked like he was nothing. Well, Bray Wyatt had 6 eliminations, but then he was eliminated like he was nothing. Set up nothing for him. Rusev set up nothing for him. Because once again, and then to make matters worse, you can tell WWE knew that this was not going to be they're not going to get good reactions. Because what did they do? They kissed our asses by having The Rock show up for one night. The Rock came out just to nerf a positive reaction, hoping that it would help Roman Reigns win, and it did not work. Because they literally turned. Because first off, I forgot that Rusev had not been eliminated yet until, of course, he was the last person eliminated. But basically, when it came down to before we realized about Rusev, Reigns, Kane, and Big Show, you knew Roman was winning. So, why not have people the final 4 should have been Reigns, Bryan, maybe Ambrose, and Bray Wyatt or Dolph Ziggler. Not Rusev. Okay, Rusev. I'll take Rusev. But Kane and Big Show literally just teaming up, knocking people out, and just dumping them over the top rope like they're taking out the garbage. Like that's what it looked like. They were literally taking out garbage. It was so insulting. Well, of course, also after Bryan got eliminated, the next person out was Goldust. So shattered dreams. You really think you had to make that reference to WWE? And the fact that literally you brought The Rock back just to basically kiss up. And, again, if he came back to set up a match, by all means. Like, who knows? Like, they could have gone this route, too. They could have had The Rock come back, not succeed in nerfing that reaction, had that match at Fastlane, and if Daniel Bryan would have won the match, which, again, I'm not saying Daniel Bryan had to win the match, but you brought back The Rock just to kiss our asses. That's all you did. If Bryan would have lost that match, Reigns could have turned heel and could have set up for The Rock and Reigns at WrestleMania 31. Instead, you brought him back just to kiss up, and we saw right through. Like we literally saw what WWE really felt. WWE did not learn their lesson from 2014. Not even having Daniel Bryan in the Rumble at all. Like they left him out in 2014, which was stupid. But at least after that, they realized their mistake. They rolled with it. They turned Batista heel, and then they literally used, what was it they originally wanted against what we wanted. And that story just succeeded. But 2015, literally, it was just like they deliberately went out of their way to give us what we didn't want. Literally, there was a "We want refunds" chant. Hashtag cancel WWE Network was trending for days. Literally, it was one of the biggest riots I think I have seen in my years as a wrestling fan. WWE literally gave us the middle finger that night and literally gave us exactly what we didn't want. And again, the final 4 could have involved, like Bryan, Ambrose, Wyatt, and Reigns. And, and as someone always suggested, I think it was Deluxe Man or someone else suggested, like even if it came down to Reigns and Bryan as the final 2, and Roman eliminated Bryan, having the two shake hands, move on, like, out of respect, whatnot. You at least gave him a quality performance, and or if you wanted to have him eliminate, like, again, a prime example. Even though it was not a great match, greatest Royal Rumble. The final three, I believe, were Strowman, Big Cass, and Daniel Bryan. And Daniel Bryan had an Iron Man performance. Like, that's the performance he should have had in the 2015 Rumble. And they had, I know the feud didn't end up going good in the end, mainly because of, Big Cass's, backstage heat. But, Big Cass eliminated Daniel Bryan to further on their storyline. It made sense, and also gave someone fresh a rub in Big Cass, who, of course, will play second as Braun Strowman will make Big Cass. There. But, again, this has led to absolutely nothing. And to me, because of the riot, the reactions, and how WWE literally just deliberately gave us what we didn't want and just kissed up that show, that's why the Royal Rumble 2015, the worst Rumble ever, is my number one worst ending to a pay-per-view of all time. But, of course, before I check the live chat, before we go off the air here, let's go over the list one more time. Again, a neutral honorable mention, because based off of, when it happened, it was good, but the aftermath, made it look pointless. A neutral honorable mention, again, was The Undertaker's exit at WrestleMania 33. Or as I call it, Undertaker's last ride. But for my top 10 best, number 10 was Edge's New Year's resolution, his cash in at New Year's resolution 2006. Number 9, Hounds of Champions, the Shield being world champions in 5 minutes, each member at Money in the Bank 2016. Number 8, Stinger strikes WWE at Survivor Series 2014. Number 7, Undisputed debuted at NXT TakeOver Brooklyn 3. Number 6 is Benoit and Guerrero's moment at the end of WrestleMania 20. Number 5 is CM Punk walking out of WWE with the title at Money in the Bank 2011. Number 4 is the birth of the Authority, SummerSlam 2013. Number 3 was the Miracle on Bourbon Street, WrestleMania 30. Number 2 was It's My Moment from NXT TakeOver Chicago 1, the Tommaso Ciampa heel turn. Number 1, the Heist of the Century. And for the top 10 worst, number 10, the Codebreaker Out of Love, as I call it, at Roadblock End of the Line 2016. Number 9, SKO, the messy main event of Extreme Rules 2015. Number 8 was the No Winner at Battleground 2013. Number 7, Punjabi Prison, Battleground 2017. Number 6 is People Power, Burns C Nation Down. Number 5 is Sheamus going corporate and cashing in on Roman Reigns at Survivor Series 2015. Number 4, No Contest in Hell, because apparently a Hell in a Cell match can end in no contest. Number 3, Beast in the Bank. Number 2, Hogan's Last Laugh. And number 1, the worst Royal Rumble ever. Those are my top 10 best and worst pay-per-view endings of all time. Let's check the live chat. We'll see what we got here. AJ should beat Punk for the WWE title reign, not Lizzie, bitch. I'm not sure who you're talking about. No Contest in Hell, nice one for sure. If the Shield has turned heel after SummerSlam, that would have been an intriguing storyline and would have set the stage for Strowman to run the gauntlet to get to Roman and the Universal title, which would have been a very unique storyline for sure. But nope. How dare Strowman try to cash in? Literally. Punk said himself the night after SummerSlam 2011, even though Alberto Del Rio was a heel, he claims he was not mad at Del Rio for doing what he did. Because 1, Punk did that twice, and 2, that's the whole point of Money in the Bank. The first Hell in a Cell match had a no contest with Kane and Mankind. That's right. That happened. AJ and Joe had a Hell in a Cell match, not Orton and Hardy last year. No, Orton and Hardy had the Hell in a Cell match. AJ and Joe didn't have Hell in a Cell. Boombox Boy Lesnar is stupid. Hashtag Fire Brock Lesnar and Vince would be nice. AJ should have been the 8th guy. AJ was in a Universal title match. Well, he could have still. That's true. It's a year when Hulk Hogan going to WWC. It was a year when Hulk Hogan went to WCW, it was a spit in the face of Seth beating Brock, but getting that ripped away from him to give it back to Brock. What about the obviously scripted promo Brian cut? Oh man, that scripted promo that Brian cut the night after Fastlane 2015. Well, at first, when Roman Reigns won the Rumble, I was like everybody else. Boo, boo. I didn't like it either. But last night, I gained the respect, and Roman Reigns is awesome. Congratulations. And I can't wait to team with Roman Reigns tonight in our 5-on-2 handicap match. That was all Vince. That was not Daniel Bryan. That was all Vince. That was one of the first promos where I'm sitting there and I'm thinking, it's Vince. Like that's like I've started realizing more and more these scripted promos. Like that's not Bryan talking. That's not what he would say. That's what Vince McMahon wants us to think, because he used our favorite, our hero, Daniel Bryan, to make us like Roman Reigns. He tried to, but as all of his other attempts, it did not work. And Bryan got his consolation prize, the IC title at WrestleMania 31, which is still a nice moment. That was still a good match, but still, that was crazy. What about why brought back Batista in 2014? Once again, they want to get that big babyface hero's return, but like Batista said, it wasn't going to work. He said, the fans are going to cheer for like 30 seconds. Again, at the time, Batista was great, make people hate him, not like him. So he even knew it was a good idea. Edge's cash in New Year's resolution was the best. The 2019 Men's Rumble was the worst he'd seen. This year's Men's Rumble, I'll be honest, it wasn't one of the best ones. I mean, I like the surprises. Well, most of them. The stuff with Jeff Jarrett and Elias is weird. I did like, most of the guys who entered the Rumble. And yes, the right person won was Seth Rollins, but I kind of feel like, I don't want to completely compare to 2015's, but I feel like this year's Rumble felt like what would have happened if Bryan would have won the 2015 Rumble. It was nothing that special. I wouldn't say it was one of the worst Rumbles this year, but I do kind of agree it wasn't one of the most, one, because that pay-per-view was way too long. This year's Rumble pay-per-view was way too long, although it was still a good show. I still gave it a B+. It was still a good show. The only match I was disappointed with, again, was Bryan and Styles. Like, that match was not too good. I mean, it might have been just like, not well placed on the card, but even so, I didn't think it was not that great of a match. But yeah, 2020 wasn't too great. Yeah, Dogs of War, stupid name. It should have been a Hell in a Cell match. Yeah, AJ and Joe should have been inside Hell in a Cell. I completely agree. Especially after, again, they had that angle at the end of SummerSlam 2018 last year that ended didn't end with a clean winner. They had that angle where literally, Joe took it, made it even more personal. That screams Hell in a Cell. Fans have always voiced how, like gimmick pay-per-views are not, gimmick matches being names of pay-per-views are not good because you're basically taking away from the point of the match. You can't just take any match. Like, even though Chris Jericho was interfering, with Seth Rollins and Kevin Owens matches in 2016, I didn't think Kevin Owens and Seth Rollins screamed Hell in a Cell, even though that match was good. I didn't think Roman Reigns and Rusev screamed Hell in a Cell. Like, you can't just throw Hell in a Cell on anybody and expect it to, be good. No. It has to be at the right time. And I'm sorry, Roman Reigns and Braun Strowman, okay, and booked right inside Hell in a Cell could be good. But I completely agree that AJ Styles and Samoa Joe last year should have been Hell in a Cell. Jeff Hardy and Randy Orton, I'll admit, I thought it was built more for like a street fight or something like that, but they still put on a great Hell in a Cell match, I thought, for sure. One of the great PPV endings ever, the birth of NWO, Hogan's historic and earth-shattering heel turn. I didn't experience that, but yes, I do agree with that for sure. That definitely also is another great ending. Hogan slamming Andre also is another iconic ending as well. That's right. I should have included that one as well, but that was a good one to include there as well, Robbie. But yep, I'll get my plugs in really quick. If anybody else has anything to say in the live chat, but guys, thank you for my top 10 special streams. Again, best and worst pay-per-view endings of all time. Also tonight, I did post my SummerSlam 2019 card predictions as well. Again, I want to get those views up again for my card predictions as well. So definitely my goal for my SummerSlam card, 5,000 views. I got 1,000 for Extreme Rules, so we can get the 5,000 for SummerSlam. Hope we can get to it. We'll see. I will tomorrow when I get the time, because I'm basically doing nothing tomorrow. work on my NXT UK Takeover Cardiff card predictions as well to get that one out as well. And then, of course, I'm going to try to continue my Harry Potter. Let's do the next part of my Harry Potter Let's Play tonight, which is the Carpe Retractum Challenge. And as always, guys, just stay tuned for more odds and ends come to the channel as well. Just typical reviews next week. And, yep, so, guys, once again, I'm a genius, Mike. That's why you like me. Well, I'm a genius. I'm a genius. Robbie, you're a genius, Robbie, and that's why we like you. Like that line in front of genius and not Vince McMahon going, I'm a genius. I'm a genius. I saw it. Desperately get me heat. Desperately give me heat. Like the show. Love it. And it did not work. The wild card rule. But yeah, I think I'm going to check out here now, guys. I also got to get up early tomorrow for breakfast with my parents. We're going out to breakfast tomorrow morning because everybody's off tomorrow. But anyways, guys, what are your top 10 best and worst pay-per-view endings of all time? Leave us down in the comment section below. As always, slap a like on my video, subscribe or comment on my channel, follow me on Twitter at DemandAirboy93. I think next week I will try that top 10 list of the of storylines where the wrong person went over. I think I will try that one next week for sure. But once again, guys, also make sure to check out Tyler and Robbie's channels. I always put them over as well. And especially for Robbie's, if you like what Robbie has to say with his fantasy predictions, get hashtag Please Sign Robbie trending on Twitter for a wrestling promotion company that will actually appreciate his writing to hire him. And also make sure to check out my Wrestling Experience documentary as well, found in the description box down below. And until then, guys, I am checking out. Have a great rest of your night, guys. Have a great weekend. I will talk to you all later. Peace out, everybody.